$59.99.
A new travel ban went into effect today, a full ban for 12 countries and a partial ban for 7 other nations. ABC's Matt Rivers is in Mexico City.
What the Trump administration is saying here is that these are countries with either a history of terrorism, whether they have histories of high rates of visa overstays. These are countries that were investigated by the State Department and found to be worthy of being included in this ban. Of course, there's going to be challenges in court, just like we saw during the first Trump administration.
After forming a partnership, Warner Brothers Discovery is splitting into 2 companies.
Just 3 years ago in 2022, Warner Media and Discovery Communications merged, and now the 2 companies are unmerging. Going forward, one company, which will be called Global Networks, will focus on cable offerings, CNN, TNT, TBS, and multiple Warner cable companies. The other company, referred to as Streaming and Studios, will include HBO and HBO Max, as well as Warner Brothers TV and Movie Studios and DC Studios. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Cyber criminals posing as recruiters are targeting people with the false promise of job offers. Those texts ask recipients to pony up for costs before starting. Alyssa Parker of the Better Business Bureau urges anyone who receives one of those texts to delete it.
We have a lot of people that come to us saying that they've been scammed because they had to pay in to become a part of this business. That is a huge red flag.
I'm Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere, from dust mites, pet dander, and pollen, to smog and smoke. An asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
4:05, and with your KVNU News headlines on this hot Monday afternoon, I'm Will Feelright. Well, for the first time, mobile temple recommends are now available to members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints worldwide. Now, the Temple Department released a letter last week confirming that the final areas were receiving the mobile option. Now, a press release stated that the church is hoping that the option of mobile temple recommends will make temple attendance more convenient and accessible to members of the church everywhere. Now, Latter-day Saints with current recommends may choose either a paper or mobile option, but not both. Now, according to the release, the church introduced the mobile recommends after feedback from members who had wanted a more convenient and secure way to carry them. And a Weber County canine that was training in narcotics detection died over the weekend from an unexpected medical condition. The Weber County Sheriff's Office said that canine Nova was just shy of 2 years old when she died. Now, they did not release details on the medical condition that led to her death. The department posted on social media yesterday that it was with deep sorrow that the Weber County Sheriff's Office announced the untimely passing of the police service dog. Nova had joined the police department back in November of 2024 and was in the narcotics detection course, and officials said that she showed tremendous promise in her training. Now, officials said her handler, Deputy Nielsen, had spoiled and deeply cherished her as a member of his own family. And three young men were arrested Saturday night in Nephi after a car chase ended in a crash with another vehicle, followed by a brief foot pursuit. Nephi police said they were notified about a vehicle pursuit on the interstate by another local law enforcement agency at around 8:30. Now, the vehicle reportedly exited the interstate into Nephi, where the 3 suspects abandoned the car and then fled on foot through a nearby neighborhood. Now, officers responded and quickly located and arrested 2 of the individuals, while a reverse 911 alert was issued to notify residents in the area about the outstanding suspect. Now, that 3rd suspect was eventually found and taken into custody. During the investigation, police learned that the suspects had struck and disabled a resident's vehicle while attempting to try to flee from police. Well, this warm weather expected to continue through the rest of the week as we've been in the high 80s today. Now, tomorrow looks like we're going to hit 90s for the first time as we'll continue to see clear skies. A small chance of maybe an afternoon thunderstorm or shower possible on Wednesday. But later on this week, we'll be up around 92 to 93 degrees, and that's going to continue into the weekend. And when it comes to taking care of your lawn, remember the Lawn Doctor. They can help you with their HydroGuard service that helps to keep your lawn green and healthy while watering less, saving you both water and money this summer. Call the Lawn Doctor to take care of your lawn at 753-LAWN. And I'm Will Thielright with your KVNU News headlines.
Do you have a nasty weed problem? We have the right person for you. Sir, you work for Logan Extermination, don't you? Can you help these folks get rid of pesky dandelions?
Of course I can help. I am the Terminator. I will terminate those little yellow devils in your yard. Call me at Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
Terminate your weeds and green up your lawn for only $45, based on maximum 5,000 square feet.
610 AM and 102.1 FM. News Talk KVNU.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice. As I visit with people on a regular basis, I see many things we can help with. Recent falls, balance training, knee, shoulder, and hip surgeries, memory loss, housekeeping, help with medications, and that's not all. We at Primrose offer the best care in any situation. A great example of this is our preventative care program. While working with your doctor and using our personal approach, we can help prevent many of these situations. For more explanation, visit primrosecare.com or call me at 787-1369. Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
It's our 100th year of summer getaways at Murdoch GMC Chevrolet Cadillac. From the mountains to Moab, we'll get you there because every great summer starts with the right ride. Right now, take up to $2,500 off the all-new Terrain. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family at Murdoch Chevrolet GMC Cadillac in Logan or online at murdochchevroletlogan.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Call 888-391-6083 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 6/30/2025.
At Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning, Feel the Love is more than just heating and cooling. It means giving back. 5 complete HVAC systems will be donated to a deserving person or family. Feel the love and nominate that person or family in need at mtnvalleyhvac.com. Nominate prior to September 1st, 2025. See website for all details.
Essie Needham Jewelers has been helping couples celebrate their anniversaries for more than a century. When you present her a piece of diamond jewelry in an Essie Needham box, it says you are committed to taking care of her forever. We absolutely stand behind our jewelry, our prices, and our service. We always have and always will. This anniversary, give the gift of diamond jewelry. A diamond from Essie Needham Jewelers says that you plan on being there for the rest of her life, just like we will be. Essie Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
Senior Moments. Sponsored by the Empowering Seniors Group on News Talk KVNU.
My name is Bruce Lee. I'm here with my co-host Sid Roder. We're here for another fun show.
This radio show is sponsored by the Empowering Seniors Group, which is a group of professionals that has dedicated their time and efforts to provide information that is hopefully useful to seniors, their family members, caretakers, and really anybody who's interested.
Senior Moments, every Saturday morning at 7:30 right here on News Talk KVNU.
KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM. Online at 610kvnu.com and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Monday, June 9th. I'm Jason Williams. Thank you for tuning in. 87 degrees here at 4:12 in the afternoon. A little warm out there, right? Felt very July today. It's quickly drying out there and starting the show today with a little bit of a warning from fire managers throughout the state of Utah and the Utah Forester's Office. Wildfire season has officially begun here in Utah. It actually began a few weeks ago with one of the first very small wildfire, but a fire just off the hills outside of Spanish Fork. And it's just a reminder that it's spring, everything's still green, but as things warm up and, you get a week of temperatures like this, that grass can dry out enough that while it's still kind of holding on to a little bit of a green color, it's dry enough that enough heat or a big enough spark or flame is enough to actually set some of that off. So Utah Forester's Office says, don't panic. It's not anything to, cancel your family camping trip plans or anything like that over, but they are reminding Utahns that it was, here in northern Utah at least, a wettish spring. There's a lot of fuel out there over the next several weeks. It's going to just continue to dry out. And so rather than waiting until it's actually, possible to start a fire with a dragging chain or a hot catalytic converter, they're just trying to get people to think about this now. The amount of fuel that's out there, the projected forecast, and of course, we're a long ways away from our typical summer monsoon season. So, yeah, just something to be aware of if you have plans, if you are headed out into the mountains for a day trip, a camping trip, a short hike, a long hike. Either way, just remember that it's easy to forget this time of year. We don't start thinking about it until mid to late July usually, but there is a lot of fuel out there, and it is hot enough that, especially in those afternoon, daytime hours, that grass can dry out enough that a small spark or flame or enough heat can actually ignite that. So I'm excited to announce this. This will happen on tomorrow's show, but with Doge in the headlines again today, with today for a Doge staffer saying that what they found is that the government is actually a lot more efficient than they thought it was. That's why they haven't been able to uncover as much of the savings as Elon Musk promised. And, of course, Musk is now out. He and Trump had their big breakup last week. That's what we're calling it online, with the jokes and the memes already everywhere. But it is I don't know. Clinton had some success with this in the 90s, and I kind of think that it should just become an every 10 years thing, regardless of who's in the majority in Congress or in the White House, that we put together a team, one that's maybe structured and led more effectively than Doge has been, and take a look under the hood. See if, because we all know this, right? In my own daily life, I was thinking about this just this morning. I saw a notification on a charge to my card for a subscription service, and I see that every month when they charge me. And I think to myself, I don't use that anymore. I should really go cancel that. And yet I haven't yet done that. It's only $10, and that's probably why I haven't been more on top of it. But that's $120 a year that I'm just kind of, because I don't really use that service anymore. That happens in government too. Utah has a problem with this. Utah, the Sutherland Institute, I don't know why they abandoned this. I really wish they hadn't. But many years ago, the Sutherland Institute, under different leadership, took up a charge of reviewing state boards and committees. Because if you follow the legislature, you know that Utah lawmakers, they don't like to make decisions that could be politically thorny for them. They don't like to actually make the decision right out. What they want to do, and this is their MO, they create a task force. And then that task force does some research, even though they know where they want to end up already, to avoid the politics of it or having to answer to the politics of it. They put this task force together, and then the task force comes back and makes recommendations that everybody already knew in most cases, and then a bill is crafted, and then it's quietly passed during the session, and that way lawmakers don't have to run on anything that contradicts what they're going to be running on, or answer for any legislation that contradicts what they're going to be running for re-election on. It's a standard practice, unfortunately, in the Utah legislature of late. What happens, though, is those task forces and those boards sometimes have a budget, and it's never a lot, but they'll have enough of a budget to cover, for example, I was on I never claimed this because I just paperwork, and I had work. I had other things professionally I could do in Salt Lake on the same day as the board meetings. So, but the Transparency Advisory Board had a tiny budget in which they could reimburse board members. I think it was $50 a month for travel expenses. So not a huge amount of money, and we only met every 3 months. So it wasn't going to, break the state budget, and it was very much a good use of taxpayer money to reimburse for travel for a Transparency Advisory Board. I think it's unfortunate that board no longer meets, although I kind of want to not still be on it. I think they should get some new blood there, but that board's a good example. So that board hasn't met since 2011, and yet that money, whatever amount was set aside to cover that board's travel expense funds for board members, which is probably calculated on number of board members and how often they meet, I would guess, that money is still earmarked. It isn't being spent. That's a good thing. But in the budget, it's still being earmarked because the Transparency Advisory Board still exists. It's now part of the governor's budget, but that earmark is still there. So that's an example of why I think it's a really good idea to pause. You can't really pause government. Things have got to get done, right? Roads have got to get maintained at the federal level. You've got all kinds of issues that you don't have the luxury to just put pause on, as DOJ has kind of learned with the USDA having to rehire all of the people they fired, and that which is costing taxpayers more money than they saved by firing them. You can't meddle too much, but you could have, I think you could have it existent perpetually, but at least, let's say every 10 years, a committee of some sort will be put together, and they'll hire a full staff, and their job, just for 1 year, or even 6 months, if you want to keep costs down for the committee, for 6 months, their entire job is to just kind of look at things and see if there's money that's being spent that doesn't need to be anymore, that's at least being appropriated that doesn't need to be anymore. See if there is something that kind of got lost through the cracks that is still being funded but doesn't need to be. And if we did this on a regular basis, I would bet over a period of time, the savings would add up in a eye-popping way. Clinton, again, in his first administration in the mid-'90s or early '90s, he did this, and they found it wasn't, trillions or even billions, but they found, a few $100 million that they could either use more effectively or stop spending entirely. And most of that spending had been appropriated because of requests from previous administrations or legislation that was passed way back in the 60s, but no one ever came in to clean it up. And so I think it's a good idea. So DOJ in concept is a good idea. The way it's played out, the way it's put together, hiring 20-year-olds with no experience other than they were coders, and it basically was put together like a tech bro's biggest fantasy, that we'll just get a bunch of savvy coders in here and we'll figure it all out using algorithms. That's literally, I think, what Elon Musk thought would happen. That obviously blew up in his face. It didn't happen. He and Trump have now had their big public breakup, and DOJ is under, I don't know who's leading DOJ. I don't know if anyone's really ever known on paper who's leading DOJ, but it hasn't proven successful. Over the weekend, I got a call from former Cache County Cache County clerk and auditor Jess Bradfield. And he said, I'd like to come in and talk about this, because this, not the specifics of how DOJ has, popped up and was so dramatic and made dramatic promises and then kind of imploded and hasn't really gone anywhere. Not that, but the concept of a DOJ, of a Department of Government Efficiency, of at the county level, at the state level, at the city level, at the federal level, whatever it might be. He said, I want to talk about why this is difficult to do. Some of the pushback you get, but also some of the way that, an audit can reveal, savings for taxpayers, but then it becomes political for some reason. And so Bradfield wants to come in and talk about a theory he has on how we can get past this, at least here in Utah, at the city, county, and state level, to where we could have either, intermittently or on a permanent ongoing basis, some sort of Department of Government Efficiency like entity, but avoid the pushback and the political considerations that often bring efforts to streamline state government to a grinding halt. So he's going to join us tomorrow, and I would love to hear ideas from listeners. That's why I'm throwing this out a day early. I wanted listeners now, if you can, email these in, because then I can retain them easier for tomorrow's show. You're welcome to call them in. I'll do my best to try and remember as well. But email us at kvnuftp@gmail.com. Call us at 753-5868. But I want specifics, not just your opinion of Doge, this specific Doge or Elon Musk or any of this, but the concept of a Department of Government Efficiency in a city, a county, at the state level that works ongoing to just make sure spending that was appropriated one year but is no longer needed isn't still being spent 50 years later. We found that here in Utah before. And so, like I say, Sutherland Institute started looking at some of these boards and task forces and found that money was still being appropriated and sometimes even spent for boards that hadn't met for 15 years. But it was no one's responsibility to go back and look or to go back and follow up. I want your ideas, specifically how you would structure such an effort. How should the committee be put together? How should it work? Where should they look first? I'd love to hear them. kvnuftp@gmail.com and 753-5868. And again, former county clerk and auditor Jess Bradfield, who has a lot of experience doing audits with government efficiency in mind, is going to talk to us about a theory he has that would get us beyond the politics of all this and into a realm where, something like state-level Department of Government Efficiency could actually be effective. It's very cool stuff. I'm excited. So that's tomorrow on the program, but start sending your ideas in now, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
No matter what the conditions, DD Auto and Salvage can get your vehicle up and off your property. Now is the time to plan to make extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage and moving that old vehicle. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy to get rid of your junker vehicles, paying you the most money possible. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204. That's 787-1204 today. See store for details.
This is it, Cache Valley. Camp Saver's final parking lot sale, June 9th through the 14th. Almost 10,000 items, both new and used, with savings up to 90% off. Massive stacks of shoes, racks of apparel, deals for men and women. Tons of camping gear of all kinds. Plus insane deals on ammo, lots of firearm accessories, tactical and hunting gear. First come, first served with new prices daily. When it's gone, it's gone. Just off Highway 8991 next to Cobb's Honeyland, Building 25, Suite 100. Don't miss your last shots, only at Camp Saver.
Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor. Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Visit managerbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
I've got a math question for you. When you add tolerance, subtract prejudice, and multiply efforts to treat one another with respect, what do you get? Less division. And school sports have it down to a science. Looking for an example of what can happen when we realize there's more that unites us than divides us? Look no further than high school sports in Utah.
This message presented by the Utah High School Activities Association and the Utah Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
News for the people. Coming up, a Salt Lake Tribune got a hold of all the records for the school voucher program that lawmakers kind of shoved through, attached to the more popular bill to raise teacher salaries in Utah. They created a voucher program. They had to do that because vouchers basically they did that to try and avoid facing their constituents. I mean, to be blunt. Vouchers remain unpopular in Utah. A lot of theories as to why. It is, in the end, a popular thing in urban areas and an unpopular thing in rural areas. I mean, there's no simpler way to put it. But the Salt Lake Tribune got a copy of all of the records for the last 2 years of that program running. where the voucher money, where taxpayer dollars are going, basically, with this voucher program. We'll talk about that coming up later on in the show. With heat and potential wildfire season starting already here in Utah, water, of course, on everybody's mind. We're still looking pretty good here in northern Utah. Things did melt off a little faster than they do on average, or have melted off a little faster than they do on average, but snowpack is still looking strong out there. Reservoirs are looking strong. Southern Utah? No. And a controversial project is back in the news. This is in Iron County. So we've talked about the Lake Powell pipeline. This was an idea that I don't remember who originated it firsthand. I believe it was water managers in St. George, or in Washington County, I think. But somehow this idea, bubbled up, and then they put together a plan and an actual, started actually drawing things out, how this would actually work to pipe water from Lake Powell to St. George for people to water their lawns and golf courses with. And, many people smartly said, this is a horrible idea. You should not do this. But the legislature was on board. They were fast-tracking it. They were hoping to actually get it underway during the first Trump administration. But even the first Trump administration's EPA said, you'd better move slow on this one. This might be a horrible idea. And the masses screamed again in the background, this is a horrible idea. Well, then the water went away. And everyone started talking about the Colorado River, and that our estimates of how much water there actually is in the Colorado River in the first place to fill Lake Powell, to downstream supply water to 3 other states below us in the stream. Reality set in. Look, you can't pump water out of the Colorado River. It barely has enough for its own purposes right now. So the idea got scrapped finally. This is a different one. This one's been controversial as well, but this is a different type of project. This is what I would call a far more practical idea than the Lake Powell pipeline was. And this, so the story comes out of Iron County, and I didn't know this until today in reading this story, but Central Iron County communities, they currently pump around 7,000 acre feet more each year out of their underground aquifers, where all of their water comes from, than the aquifer can afford to lose each year. So basically, they're each year using more water than the aquifer can sustainably recharge. And to calculate that out, 7,000 acre feet is enough water to supply water for a year to 14,000 households. And so there's concern that as the aquifer doesn't recharge fully each year, and they get further and further behind each year, where use is outpacing recharging of the aquifer, a lot of wells are starting to run dry. And ground surface water is non-existent in a lot of places, which means the roads are coming apart faster, and homes and other structures are actually, foundations are starting to crack. Because basically the ground's so dry, and then it hardens and starts to press in different ways. Because the groundwater is not coming up, because the aquifer is never getting fully recharged. So that's a pretty dire situation. A state-mandated groundwater management plan went into effect in the area in 2021. Utah legislature enforced that, and that means that basically they said to all the cities in Iron County, you've got to cut 75% of your water usage in the next 40 years. I mean, that's the reality. To not get to a point where you have none. So 75%. Iron County, though its population continues to grow, and projections show that its population is probably going to hit about 70% of right now, 70% more from right now in the next 40 years. So to meet current demands, the Central Iron County Water Conservancy District looked into a bunch of different things, but what they came up with was they looked at the aquifer beneath Pine Valley in Beaver County, where their aquifer is recharging each year plus some. Beaver County, they actually a lot of years have had groundwater surplus. flooding, basically. But they're still, using a lot. And so the Central Iron County Water Conservancy District looked at the Pine Valley Aquifer in Beaver County, next door to Iron County, and filed water rights for 15,000 acre feet. That was way back in 2006. And then as that plan, those water rights would then be used for 15 additional wells and a 66-mile pipeline that would pump Beaver County water from their aquifer to Iron County, to the Cedar Valley communities specifically. And this would all be run by a 200-acre solar farm. That's how they were offsetting the environmental impact. I call this a more practical thing. The Lake Powell pipeline was a pipe dream. That was something. They saw how fast Washington County was growing. They saw how much water was over there in Lake Powell, and they thought, let's just pump it across the entire state. But a horrible idea. This is more of a practical idea. But, of course, it's getting pushback. It is so the project has met some pretty strong opposition from local ranchers in Beaver County, of course, saying, so Iron County is running out of water, and now they want to start making us run out of water. We're projected to grow, too, over the next 40 years. The Indian Peaks Band of the Paiutes, they have written and spoken in opposition to this plan because a lot of their land is, would be affected by a change to the Beaver County aquifer should it run out in the future. And Beaver County officials, of course, are not on board with this because they worry that pumping the project could impact their future water. And then they also are concerned about the legislature legalizing one county buying water rights in another county just because the water rights are up for sale, and then they buy them, and the county they bought them from can't stop them. And they're worried that this one Beaver County official said this could have very adverse effect on aquifers many miles away because Beaver County's aquifer connects to the Great Basin National Park aquifer system, which is attached to the Great Salt Lake. So they're pulling out the big guns here. Executive director of the Great Basin Water Network, who kind of worked with him on this project to help inform it, he said in the end, his belief is, quote, the juice is not worth the squeeze. So Cedar City can continue to grow. And that's basically what everyone's shooting at here. He said that people are just going to have to figure out how to make better use of their existing water supply, period. And that's the part of the story that really struck me because in a lot of southern Utah, I think it is going to come down to that, where you can't, these pie-in-the-sky plans either aren't going to happen fast enough or shouldn't happen at all or aren't based on a reality in which they'd actually work, have to be thrown out and stop wasting everybody's time. And you've got to say, we're going to have to figure out how to live here with the existing water supply. The idea that we can constantly find water somehow, somewhere, and magically get it here on a reliable, regular basis has got to go out the window. But then it comes the tough question. How do you change to accept that? Because I'll tell you one thing, this is a huge part of their economy, but living with the water they have in St. George would mean a lot of golf courses going under. And a lot of people are going to respond to that and say, oh, boo-hoo. That is a huge part of Washington County's economy. That golf course resort, that whole industry is a huge part of their economy. Just like tourism here is in Cache Valley and the theater district, drawing in all these summer citizens to spend money in downtown. Golf courses may not be that important up here in St. George area in Washington County. They are a huge part of the local economy. And I guarantee you, from everything I've read at least, there is no way you get to the point where you say, just live with the water you have, figure out how to do that without a lot of those going away. So what do you do? I agree with the sentiment. Figure out how to live with the water you have, because a lot of these ideas of getting water from somewhere else, I mean, eventually you're going to hit the wall, right? Eventually there's no more water to get from somewhere else or no realistic way to get it. So then you have to live with the water you have. But again, it's an easy thing to say. How do you actually do that when you have so many people in an area with so little water? I would love ideas on this one because I really sympathize with people in southern Utah right now. We'll be back after this look at the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. For art lovers of all kinds, the Summerfest Art Fair in Logan will be the place to be this Thursday through Saturday at the Cache County Event Center and Fairgrounds. Now, the 3-day event is geared for all ages during the Father's Day weekend. It's a time for people to explore the diverse world of art, walk through the shade of the trees at the fairgrounds, and visit artists about their work and purchase items. Now, Shirlene Davis, executive director of Summerfest, said that they have 167 artists this year, 30 food trucks, and 38 performers. Now, many of the performers are from the Cache Valley area, with some of them also from the Salt Lake area. Now, this year's featured artist is Trent Goodmanson of the Preston area. He began oil painting at the age of 14 and was too busy painting to go to school and ended up forging his own artistic path. Now, he married Laura Jean, and they settled in the Idaho side of Cache Valley. Well, it was her more than 2 decades of experience in water research and her work as a champion of water resource engineering and water data science that put Bethany Nielsen in a position to accept the appointment as the new director of the Utah Water Research Lab at Utah State University. Now, she'll assume the position beginning on July 1st. David Jones, dean of USU's Engineering College, said that it is her understanding of Western water challenges that will ensure the lab continues to drive innovative solutions for water and environmental issues. Now, water-related challenges have long been pressing the Western United States, and that is where her current research is focused. Now, during its more than 60 years, USU's Water Research Lab has been recognized as one of the most respected facilities of its kind. And local water districts are beginning to ask people to start reducing their outdoor water use to avoid problems later on. Now, the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District said on Thursday that it had documented a 15% increase in outdoor water use over the last year at a time when it wasn't necessary. Now, the district provides water to a significant part of the Salt Lake Valley. Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall said in a statement that everyone should help protect the state's natural resources and support efforts for the Great Salt Lake. Now, while reservoirs still remain healthy, water officials said that they want to continue to stretch the supply as much as possible. Now, Utahns were very good at conserving during the last drought, and officials are not asking people to take drastic measures, just do their part. Well, we'll see hot temperatures expected through the rest of the week as we're going to stay in the low 90s. Now, didn't quite hit it today, topped out at 89. Now, tonight we'll drop into the mid-50s, then be into the 90s for tomorrow. Same forecast expected for Wednesday when we could see a little bit of moisture before more sunny weather continues Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. And congratulations to Steph Willis, staff member at Terrace Grove Assisted Living Center, our latest Above and Beyond Salute winner from Firehouse Subs. A group of citizens that had nominated Steph, saying that she serves as the activity and staff coordinator at the center. They also noted how she provides uplifting events and engages with the residents. To say thanks, we gave her a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs. Appreciate Firehouse Subs teaming up with KVNU each week, recognizing heroes in our community. And I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News headlines.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Demonstrators are back in the streets in Los Angeles. So far, fewer crowds than over the weekend when protests turned violent. President Trump defending his decision to send National Guard troops, but the California state is suing, claiming Trump's actions are leading to more unrest.
As he was returning to the White House, President Trump was asked if he agrees with border czar Tom Homan's threat to arrest Governor Gavin Newsom for obstructing immigration enforcement.
I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great.
Now on social media, Newsom writing, quote, "The President of the United States just called for the arrest of a sitting governor, saying this is a day I hoped I would never see in America. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. This is a line we cannot cross as a nation. This is an unmistakable step toward authoritarianism," Newsom wrote. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. has terminated all 17 members of the CDC's Independent Advisory Board. Storms are targeting parts of the South and East Coast today. This is ABC News.
Hey listeners, let's talk comfort. Specifically, how Cardinals insulation can help. Did you know the average home loses up to 35% of its heated or cooled air through the walls and roof? But here's the good news. When you call Cardinals, not only will you feel the difference with a quieter, more energy-efficient home, but you could also qualify for a tax credit up to $1,200. Save money year-round with Cardinals insulation. Call 755-5012. That's 755-5012.
Bringing Wall Street to Main Street. From your local experts in downtown Logan, this is the Adams Wealth Advisors Market Report.
Hi, this is Jake with Adams Wealth Advisors. Stocks got an early lift today on news from Washington that U.S.-China trade negotiators may now have room to lift export restrictions on key items like semiconductors and jet engines. In return, China appears ready to resume shipments of rare earth magnets, an important move for tech and defense supply chains. That optimism helped push semiconductor stocks sharply higher, with the chipmaker index gaining nearly 2%. Energy stocks also advanced, supported by another uptick in oil prices. West Texas Intermediate crude rose 1% to $65.34 per barrel. The late-day selling trimmed much of those early gains. By the close, the S&P 500 ended up just 0.1%. The NASDAQ rose about 0.3%, and the Dow finished flat on the day. Investors aren't the only ones sensing a reversal in trade tensions. Consumers appear to agree. According to the New York Fed's latest survey, one-year inflation expectations fell to 3.2% in May, down from 3.6% the month before, even as retailers like Walmart and Target reportedly raised prices on a range of goods. The 10-year Treasury yield eased slightly to 4.49%. Looking ahead, all eyes are on Wednesday's Consumer Price Index report. Economists are expecting inflation to remain steady or show a modest acceleration in May. Markets remain sensitive to both trade headlines and inflation data, with investors watching closely for signals on the Fed's next move.
That's your update from Adams Wealth Advisors, guiding your financial future one day at a time. For personalized help planning yours, reach out to us at 435-752-1702. See you soon, Cache Valley. Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com.
Tired of that patch of dirt you call a patio? Ready to impress the neighbors and your in-laws? Introducing you, the Weekend Warrior. Thanks to Castelite Tile and Masonry. With easy-to-install outdoor pavers and expert advice, you'll go from I have no idea what I'm doing to check out my backyard oasis in no time. They'll teach you how to do it right without the head-scratching or YouTube rabbit holes. Castelite, go where the pros go. And now, where you go too.
For the people. We're running a bit behind schedule here, so we're going to jump right back in to make time for our next guest here on the show because this is a pretty big deal. We heard about this through mutual friends. The radio world can be a tight-knit group, and anyone who's even worked in it for some time has friends still in there. And so we caught wind of this. A friend of ours here at KVNU who had worked in radio with Broadway Media, that his family was being honored. They'd been nominated as a candidate in a very special type of honor for the Mountain Region. And so we reached out to him. And joining us now, a good friend of the show, Chad Saunders. And Chad, I hope I did okay on setting you up there. I was trying to say it nicely, so I didn't just say radio nerd.
No, you're good. No,
fellow radio nerd, Chad Saunders, right?
You can say, dude, when you've done it as long as you and I have, you can say nerd. That's totally. Yeah, respectable.
It's fair. All right. It is.
It's an accurate.
I'm really excited to talk to you about this today because this is the type of nomination and honor that your family's receiving here that oftentimes doesn't get enough attention. We tend to focus on the controversial or the things that are going to get everybody shocked and surprised, or surprising wins in the sports world. This is a very different type of nomination that your family has been nominated for, and if you win, you'll be honored by the full, as I understand it, the full Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Can you give us some background on this, how you got to this point, you and your family?
Yeah, I did a really dumb thing. So one of our stations down here, John and Chantel, they do our morning show on Mix 105. John, back at the end of February, 1st of March, emceed the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society event for kids, their gala, and posted about it on LinkedIn and posted a picture of himself at the event. And I liked it and commented, "Oh, this is wonderful. I'm glad to see you helping LLS. They were a big part of the reason my wife was able to recover from her acute myeloid leukemia diagnosis and subsequent bone marrow transplant."
Oh, wow.
If I can ever help LLS, let me know. And so, Jason, I was just being polite and being nice. Sure. And obviously I would help any way I could. About 3 weeks later, John walks up to me and he was getting something off the printer near my desk and says, "Hey, I thought I had your contact information and I don't. Can you send it to me, because LLS would like to get a hold of you?" And so I said, sure, and I sent it to him. And within like 20 minutes, I get this phone call from Brittany with Leukemia and Lymphoma Society asking me if I would be willing to be one of their nominees for their Visionary of the Year campaign.
Oh, wow.
Which what it is basically it's their annual fundraiser. It's how they earn their funds to help here in Utah and to help nationally with Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And for those that don't know, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, they help with research, advocacy, and patient resources.
Sure.
They help on all three fronts. And when my wife was, back on May 16th was my wife's new birthday, is what they call it. It was 7 years ago that she had her bone marrow transplant.
Wow.
And thank the Lord, she's in remission. She's doing well. We're not going to lose her. The cancer's gone. The leukemia is gone. And, it was great. But the fight's never over. There's still, when you have a bone marrow transplant, there's stuff you have to deal with. Things such as a disease called graft-versus-host disease, where the body accepts the transplant but recognizes that it's a foreign property, and so it'll it dries your eyes out so you don't create tears, or it'll make you itch with your skin, things like that you still have to go through 7 years later. But we wouldn't have been able to navigate those things without LLS. They were a huge resource for us, and it has been for other people as well. Just little things, just simple things like before I could bring my wife home, you had to have our house, completely, clean, because she had no immune system. So you had to have it totally. And so they have a group there's another charity that they know of and are aware of that they work with called Cleaning for a Reason. And they will come, you apply, and they will come and they will clean your house for free. If you're going through a bone marrow transplant or chemotherapy, they'll do that twice a year. And what they do is they subcontract with Daisy Maids or with a local maid service, and they pay for that company to come out and clean your house for you.
Okay, which doesn't sound like a big deal to a lot of folks listening right now. But if you're in the middle of this and you're in the middle of treatment, you don't know what the outcome's going to be. And you're told, okay, you got to go home and your home has to be sterilized. That's overwhelming. And to have this group, LLS, say, okay, we've got these resources for you. We'll get someone in. They know how to do it. That had to be very reassuring to you and your family.
Oh, it was such honestly, it helped my wife recover because I was able to juggle all the balls you have to juggle as a caregiver.
Sure.
So that all she had to do was focus on getting better. All she had to focus on was healing. It wasn't like I was stressing that negative energy was feeding into her. It allowed her to do what she needed to do, which was focus on, recovery. and making it through the challenge of leukemia and a bone marrow transplant without having to worry about where the next payment was going to come from. And I found out today, 45% of cancer patients abandon their treatments when faced with over $2,000 in out-of-pocket costs.
Wow, really?
Yeah, 45%. No one should have to make a choice like that with their cancer treatment and decide, look, I can't afford to have cancer treatment. So what LLS does is they work to make cancer treatment affordable for everyone. One thing they do, so, okay, you guys are in Cache Valley. Say someone that has to come down here to Huntsman for treatments and they have to stay for an extended period of time. They have a fund they work with. They will find you a hotel and put you up so that you don't have to drive back and forth. Or for me, I live out in Twilla County. I was just out, inside of their radius, but they gave me a $2,000 card. I had to apply for it. It's a grant, and it's only, you only get it as long as the grant has funds. So that's why we're raising the funds, is so that there's always money in for these grants. They gave me a $2,000 Visa card that I was able to use for gas to go back and forth to Huntsman.
Wow.
I mean, it's just the little things. And what's great is a lot of these charities, and we're seeing a lot of this. You guys are political talk station. We're hearing a lot about Doge. We're hearing a lot about, charities where the money doesn't actually go to the charity. It goes to the CEO. That's not the case with LLS.
Sure.
They have like a 4-star rating. I looked it up. Their CEO does not make, a huge sum like, some of these folks do. And the money actually goes to what it's intended, which is great. That means a lot to me because in today's world, you don't always know when you make a donation that it's going where you want it to go.
Sure.
And in this case, it actually does.
And so you've decided to take all of this and take your story, your wife's story, the recovery, and so glad to hear of her full recovery and being in remission. You've decided to turn that around into helping others who are maybe just beginning the process or will be in the future. And you didn't do this in a quiet way, Chad. You said, okay, we'll try to raise $50,000. So for listeners, again, Chad and his family have been nominated as a candidate in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Mountain Region as innovators. And as part of that, you're tasked with setting a goal. Chad's goal, his family's goal, $50,000 by June 13th. And so you've set up a website where people can go, right? Helpmichelle.com.
Yeah, and what it does is that just takes it. You can go straight to the landing page to donate. You don't have to go. You don't have to sift through all of the educational stuff for LLS.
Oh, perfect.
If you want to learn about LLS, just go to lls.org. You can learn about LLS there. And it really is a great program. And like I say, they're wonderful, wonderful people. And we had a neighbor just this last fall who I was able to hand my Bible off to, my LLS Bible off to his wife because he was diagnosed with leukemia.
Oh, wow.
We've been able to help other people in the last 7 years. One of the other things too, they provided a mentor for me when I first got into this. So I had a family out of Chicago that was able to help me navigate and give me some tips and stuff. They really are wonderful. It's worth it. So yeah, if people in the Cache Valley area could please go to helpmichelle.com, helpmichelle.com, MICHELLE, and that would be great. And here's the one thing too. You guys have heard my wife. Cache Valley Radio has been awesome. You guys have been running public service announcements for us, and my wife has voiced those. So you actually get to hear Michelle on your guys' radio.
I didn't know that was her. I'd actually heard those PSAs, and I didn't. That is cool. Yeah. I'm going to
take my wife. That's Michelle. Yeah.
That is, and also it's worth mentioning this year, the year that you're doing this fundraiser to raise $50,000 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And again, for listeners, the goal is by June 13th. So visit helpmichelle.com right now and make your donation. But this, as I understand it, also marks this is the 7th year anniversary of Michelle's bone marrow transplant.
Yeah. So she was diagnosed in January with acute myeloid leukemia, had her transplant in May 16th.
Wow.
So it was just ago that she had her. So yeah, and they call that your new birthday is when you have your transplant because basically your DNA and everything changes. So yeah, her new birthday is May 16th, and we just celebrated that. She's doing great. Love her to death.
Sure. But
she's pretty awesome.
what a mountain to climb, really.
It's been tough, but the kids, our kids stepped up big. Our family stepped up big. We have family up there in the Cache Valley that a lot of people know. If I were to say the name, I'm not going to embarrass them. But
go ahead.
the Weeksbury Farm family.
Oh, sure.
Helped us. Our family really rallied around each other, and we're pretty great.
Oh, that is great.
I'm asking everybody again. Let's do this for the next Michelle. That's why we're helping Michelle, but it's not my Michelle. We're helping the next Michelle.
Sure.
So if you guys can, if folks can pony up, and I promise I will do my best to make sure that all 4 of the schools from Tooele County tank during next year's football season when they play in the new region against the Cache Valley schools. I will do my best.
That is a worthy trade right there. He'll do his best to make sure the schools go on tank in the games, and those Cache Valley schools can rise above. But man, honestly, Chad, this is such an inspiring thing to see. No one would blame you and your family if you just called yourself lucky and moved on and never thought about leukemia again. But here you are, you and your family, you and Michelle, trying to raise $50,000 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society so they can help people who maybe are just starting to go through what you and your family have already gone through. That's really inspiring. And I have to say it again, $50,000 is quite a goal.
Well, and then, we were being pretty aggressive. I'm not going to lie.
Sure.
We're doing okay. We're not quite there, but we could use the help. And the one thing, when Michelle got sick, I found a little plaque, and I bought it for her right before her diagnosis, that says that she put on our wall. She has these little motivational plaques on our wall that says, "We can do hard things."
Oh, wow.
That's the name of our team, is we're Team We Can Do Hard Things.
That is very cool.
We can do hard things, and that's why we agreed to do this, because it's not easy.
Sure. No. Chad.
Well, here's the closing music. I know we're not going to be able to say goodbye, but Jason, I appreciate you guys.
Chad, I appreciate your time today, and more so, I appreciate you and your family taking this approach. Just so inspiring. I'm glad to hear Michelle is fine. Please, listeners, visit helpmichelle.com. Help Chad and Michelle Saunders raise $50,000 by June 13th. For the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. They've been through it. They want to help others going through it. Helpmichelle.com. Chad, thank you for your time. To our listeners,
Jason,
thank you.
Talk about it all week, okay?
I will.
About it all week.
I'll plug it all week, every day. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you again, Chad.